On this episode of Real Estate on the Rocks, we're going to talk about the 10 things I wish I knew before becoming a real estate agent.
Welcome to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. Here's your host, Dave Snowberger.
All right, welcome back today. We are in a great place this morning in our podcast, and I want to go ahead and introduce our fellow over here, Marshall Tucker.
Good morning, everybody. How are you doing?
I'm kind of breaking from script this morning. I don't know what's up.
Me too.
Really like hyped up. I don't know. I'm well caffeinated.
Extra coffee?
By the way, there's James. Anyway, so moving on today.
What's up, James?
Just kidding. We got James, the Butcher Mendez, over here on the ones and twos, and I don't know why I always say that. It just sounds good. I mean, you're obviously not
the DJ old days.
There we go. Today we're talking about those 10 things that I wish I would have known before becoming a realtor. Not a realtor, not a realtor, but a realtor.
I'm still a realtor.
Cool, man. Being a realtor is hard. We all know this. So far, a lot of our listeners are new agents coming into the market or people returning to the market. We always talk about it's hard. So here's what to expect when you're getting into or back into the business. The way things are going right now in the business, it seems. Let's get to it. You know, when I first joined Keller Williams, it was my second brokerage, but they were teaching me a little bit more about the business, right? About how to start my own business, right? My first brokerage didn't necessarily do that for me. They didn't tell me, they didn't preach to me. You know, I when I interviewed with them, I thought they were interviewing me. And when they accepted me, I was like, man, I nailed the interview and I got the job.
Same thing. I thought I was applying for a job. Like, oh my God, they hired me.
Yeah. Now we know different. You're not applying for the job. I own my own business and there's not a lot of the broker can tell you, air quotes, what to do. You know, it really...
Any broker will take you.
Yeah, any broker is going to take you these days. And especially these days, it seems like it's all become about numbers. You know, it's not necessarily about income producing agents. It's more just about the agent count. I see a lot of agents or brokerages bragging about agent count. So whatever, man.
Ghost agents.
Whatever works for you. Oh, yeah, the ghost agents. Oh, no. Do. Anyway, so... let's get to it real quick. Let's go through the 10 things that we really need to realize, or I wish I would have known before coming into the business. This one right here is good. Lenders and really your team means everything. And now when I say team, that doesn't mean, you're a team leader and you have buyer's agents and all that stuff. Of course, that means something to you if you're on a team. However, building your business, you need to have a team around you. You need to surround yourself with the industry's finest. You need to have a kick-ass lender. You need to have a great title company that doesn't have to nickel and dime the buyer or the seller, typically the seller for paperwork, and you need a great inspector, your go-to inspector, and I know out there we're supposed to, it says we got to supply 3 names. Well, I did that for years, and that was a complete letdown a lot of times because I didn't know 3 inspectors. I didn't know 3 lenders. I didn't know, well, I know 3 title companies, but I don't think that's the case here. And I didn't know 3 home warranty companies or 3 plumbers or anything else. I got to know the people that were around me and that took great care of my people. And I didn't really have to worry about it coming back on me because I trusted them to be a part of my A team when I was building my business. And if they let me down through the process, so if there was a complaint, that person got eliminated and I went out and I found another plumber. Mm-hmm. In this case, it was the plumber.
I've had home warranties let me down before, and
yeah.
I've had some that were exceptionally helped the client out. So now I kind of just recommend that one.
Right. So I mean, here's the thing: a lot of times buyers come to the deal already attached. I mean the buyer's agency these days, it seems to be how do I say this without pissing people off? It's not such a skillful position anymore, being that information is out there at everybody's fingertips. Everybody can see exactly what you can see. If there's some way around it typically to where, well, yeah, but I can see what the property sold for. Guess what? Guess who's a brokerage now? Redfin, Zillow, Open Door. Like all these people, they can disclose prices as well. There's even been local brokerages out here that can disclose prices because they say once once that person signs up on their website, then that technically they are a client and they can share that confidential information with them of, I mean, in Texas, it's a what's that called? Non-disclosure state. So we don't have to give over sales prices. Not even the state can see it.
Yep.
Typical.
Super helpful.
Yeah. And so, but these days that's changing. Information's out there. If the information's available to one person, it's going to be available to everybody because someone's going to take it, find a loophole, and give it to everyone. Right. And so,
So I'm going to say, if you want to be the most efficient agent you can be, you really have to assemble that A team early on. And so instead of having a lender question you to figure out, having a power of attorney, what do I do with that? Who do I talk to a title about that? I mean, and having an inspector, like you said, that can really explain it to the client without leaving them feeling confused and feel like they need to pull out of the.
What's the reason why we do business with Mike Carroll over at Guaranteed Rate?
Mike.
Yeah, of course, this is a little plug for Mike. However, Mike has treated our clients like, they should be treated.
Exactly.
He tells them what they have to do to be able to get the loan done. If it's a lower credit score, there's a lot more hoops that folks have to jump through.
He doesn't sugarcoat it. He lays it all out on the table. This is what we can do. This is what you should do. And
he handholds them if he needs to.
Yep.
He chases down the paperwork when they don't respond. He's a good lender, and that's why he's earned our business. I've had agents in the past call me and say, I don't like your lender. He's not responding to me. I'm like, well, he doesn't work for you.
And if he's not responding to you, that's because he's busy figuring out a solution to your fire.
Exactly. He works for the buyer. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to give you updates, And so, a lot of times it's just like, hey, call me for the update and I'll give it to you. Well, I didn't want to bother you. It's like, I'd rather you bother me than bother the lender. He's busy doing lending stuff, So anyway, title companies are always important to me. We've gone with title company salespeople. Sometimes they can hook in agents, sellers agents particularly, about wanting to do the deal with them, or they've taken that person to lunch and there's some kind of loyalty there to where they don't want to break from that title company. I'll fight for title sometimes if it's a crappy title company, and there's a lot of title companies that are fly by night. That have been here and they're gone.
Well, I found you get a lot less service the further you go out from the city. So out in the country areas, the smaller title companies, they just do a lot less for you.
Yeah, usually those are like fee offices and those are attorneys, and so, it just kind of, those kind of suck. So anyway, moving on. Number two. All right, here. Buyers are liars. All right, I said it.
It sounds really harsh.
It sounds harsh, man. What do you mean by that, Marshall? Buyers are liars.
Buyers are liars. In my experience, buyers will tell you they want a small yard so they don't have to take care of it, and they turn around and buy the whole city block, so they have to go mow it. Or they tell you they want a 2-story and you end up in a single story. Or they tell you, this and that, but never really pans out that way.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good example. I mean, I just think there's a lot of confusion there. I don't know if I'd call them liars there. I call them liars when it comes to what they're qualified for, how deep in the process they are talking to the lender.
Skeletons in the closet.
Yeah, just kind of, what they're hiding. I always said when I first started this, I did a lot of leasing. And, I had agents tell me that buyers are liars, don't believe anything they say, and ask great questions to dig through a lot of the stuff that they say.
This is a Labrador. Nuh-uh, that's a Doberman.
Well, it was buyers are liars, and then I just came up with leasers are worse. Buyers are liars, leasers are worse. And so you don't really want to think of your buyers as liars. Not all buyers are liars, but there's people that they're not forthcoming with information that's going to be pertinent to the whole transaction. They can hold things up, and you're writing a contractual agreement. Mm-hmm. Right. So you're writing a contract. And I know that everybody these days in society thinks that, a contract's just kind of, whatever. It's a contract. If you're putting contractual dates on there, we need to follow these dates. We talked a podcast or two ago about people that are bouncing checks. Just that, that's a good indication right there that that's going to be a rocky transaction, and that more than likely they haven't been forthcoming. Oh yeah, $4,000 earnest money. That's no big deal.
But then we have one time you were listing them and come to find out they were almost in foreclosure or through the process of it.
I would think that's happened a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, wait a minute, what? What's going on?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That one's crazy. So anyway, number 3 is it's a pay-to-play business. If you don't think it's a pay-to-play business, then you are mistaken. You have to pay for marketing. You have to, even if you're going to do in-house marketing, how do you get it out there? How do you get your marketing out there? Do you do postcards? Do you do ads on Facebook? Do you run pay-per-click campaigns? Do you have a CRM that has a pay-per-click campaigns or a website attached to it? That's what we're talking about here when it's a pay-to-play business. There's not a lot of people that can just sit down and get started from scratch with the small sphere that they have, their small sphere of influence of the 20 to 30 people. That's still going to cost a little bit of money to get that ball rolling, and that's going to be not very time effective if you're in need of money quickly. Mm-hmm. If you've just transferred over careers and your paycheck now is stopped, you got your insurance about to run out within 30 to 60 days because you've left that company and you're switching. Most people that do real estate or are in real estate, this is the second, third, or fourth career, and so they come into this with the unrealistic expectations that it's very easy to sell a home. Everybody's going to buy from them. They know everybody, but then they find the cold realization that nobody wants to do business with them because they're new. I
was always told, hey, have about 3 months of money saved up, for living expenses. Okay, I can try to get 3 months of, savings up. But then all of a sudden, now you got your monthly due to your broker, your MLS key, your signs that you have to buy. All the charges start racking up. And then you don't have that 3 months bubble anymore. You had everything to get into the game. And then I just had about, time to do business. You got to get that phone ringing.
I see agents even when the thing's not rolling, they've got all their bills to pay for one. Mm-hmm. And then they get bogged down by this scarcity mindset. Like Keller Williams had a fee. I know we're with EXP now. I know I mentioned Keller Williams twice. However, we are with EXP Realty. They have a monthly fee, right? And so a lot of people that aren't selling, that monthly fee can rack up, and they just think that, that's what's holding them back is because I keep having to pay that. My whole thing is like, then you just need to go do more deals. Yeah, you need to go make more money so that little fee is irrelevant. If that's the paying to play to do business, that's what you have to do. They don't want a bunch of people sitting around, I'm sure. And the benefits you get from both Keller and EXP, those are the only two ones I can really speak on because I've been a part of both of them now, is that the money that you're paying into the system is a pretty good return because you do get, now Keller Williams was crap for years as far as like their CRM that they pushed on us. They wanted us to use, and their tech fee, air quotes again, their tech fee really didn't provide much, and I was pretty disappointed. However, they came around with the whole command thing. In my opinion, command's not where it needs to be yet, but I think it's going to be really powerful one of these days, and then we switched over here, and what we pay for our agent fee a month is what it's called, is we get KV Core, right? And KV powerful. Core is powerful as all hell, comes with landing pages and, squeeze pages and just smart CRMs. And when a lead comes in, it starts texting them or emailing them immediately.
Text leads. There's all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, you can sit there and your follow-up can be all text-based.
Automatically post to Craigslist for you.
That's
the
cool.
Coolest thing I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and most people think Craigslist is dead. If you go on a Craigslist, I've showed you guys in our market, Austin, Texas, there's some good ones out there of Craigslist ads, and you look at who it is, and it's like 2 or 3 of the biggest either brokerages or real estate teams in Austin posting on there. So obviously it works. Yeah. Obviously it works. We do Craigslist ads still. We Craigslist ads, excuse me. We can still get the phone ringing off those. Our attention's turned into bigger things these days, so we don't necessarily have to do the Craigslist ads because we're not really trying to generate the 2 to 250 lead, which seems to be a little bit more easy to find on Craigslist. But anyway, pay to play. You're going to have to pay some money to play. Marshall, number 4.
You have to set yourself apart. So
what do you mean by that?
Well, if you're texting somebody or you're trying to get their attention, what gets their attention more? The same kind of text that all the other 500 agents are sending, or a nice video text, showing yourself and explaining what you do. So setting yourself apart with video, setting yourself apart in other ways as well as some of the advertising and marketing things.
Okay, you went directly with lead response that you need to set yourself apart. Let's go and back that up a little bit. You need to set yourself apart from every other agent in your market. There's 16,000 agents in our market. That's where you need to start.
Hyper-local?
Yeah. The text messages are scripted. Now, you're not going to be able to, if you have a good agent, 2 good agents, the text messages are going to be very similar. I don't know how you can really stand out amongst that unless you use a bunch of emojis.
Video.
But yeah, I would definitely go with videos. But that's all across the board. I believe why we put this on here was you have to set yourself apart. Wasn't about lead response. It was about setting yourself apart as an agent, right? And so let's touch on that a little bit. There's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of buyer's agents. There's a lot of selling agents. There's competition on both ends. I see people that are drilling down and trying to work with investors, and that's how they've set themselves apart. They try to work with just ranches or farm and ranch or land or whatever else, and everybody's trying to find their niche, right? And so you need to find your niche, and on top of that, you need to stand out. So how are you doing that? We leverage the power of video a lot, right? So we have Wilco Eats, right? We have the Texas River Ranch brand that we also do that I never talk about on here. However, I'm about to list a $4 million property. And so Texas River Ranch has really been talked about a little bit more. I'm wearing more of my branded shirts these days that say Texas River Ranch and that kind of stuff. And so that's how I set myself apart from the guy.
Pickup truck again?
Well, yeah, I'm back into a truck. That was happy. That was good for me. I could not stand not having a truck. I went to a Tahoe, and you guys know, but I'm just telling you.
Trying to show some property in the Tahoe.
Yeah, I went to the Tahoe. I was out showing property in the Tahoe and going over some hills and making the vehicle off center. It cracked my windshield. I was like, what? It wasn't like a little, just kind of like, it was a nice Tahoe. It was a really nice luxury car, but it just kind of, it wasn't what I needed. And I went from a big GMC truck that I loved. And for some reason, I don't know why I felt that I need to go this direction with the Tahoe, because I wasn't selling as much, but like back into a big F-250 now. So absolutely loving it. And I'm setting myself apart when agents show up in minis.
I raced the shit out of that Mini. No, I'm kidding.
He drives it in,
That's a
drifts
fun
it
little
in
car.
sideways.
It's a good little company car.
I could. That's a lot of fun.
Number 5. It's feast or famine. What can you tell me about that, James?
The whole business for everybody is like that, especially in the first couple of years, is just trying to get into the whole culture and mindset of selling. It's just vastly different from what most people are used to every day. So, and then you're riding the hills of or peaks and valleys of transactions, trying not to overspend, trying to underspend, but still leverage what you have.
When I got that first paycheck in, I upgraded my clothes, upgraded my car, started spending. Now I'm broke again, and you got to start that process all over. So what I do, didn't budget very well. And then what happened at the end of the year, Mr. Taxman came for me and he was like, hey, you still owe. It's like, what? Where'd you come from? I thought Dave was taking that out of my paychecks.
Dave's not doing. Dave doesn't touch your paychecks. Anyway,
You need to talk to him.
yeah, I mean the feast and famine is you can have, like you said, the ebbs and flows. The roller coaster that's known as the real estate business is you can have 7 to 10 closings in 1 month and be on top of the world and stop marketing and everything else, and then you can go 2-3 months without anything. Which is really scary.
Racking up the deals, and they're all for new construction that don't close for 6 to 9 months away. You still got to carry yourself up to that point.
Yeah, we both have. There's probably 4 or 5 transactions between us that don't close for months on end. But it's good to have in our pipeline. But we can't hang our hats on that and say, "Oh, look what we did here." I know you walked in the door last week and like, "Oh my God, my hair's on fire. I got 7 deals," and I'm like, 3 of them don't close till like October, dude. Like, what's your hair on fire for? And you just kind of like you just kind of step back, because we all get into that little bubble where we start thinking that we're so busy and we have that scarcity mindset, not coming from abundance and all that stuff. I want to talk about that a little bit too. Was the whole thing about being overwhelmed. Stop looking at things and being overwhelmed. Look at them more as I have more opportunity to do more things. Right. Yeah. So you have to stop trying to be overwhelmed or convincing yourself that you're overwhelmed or you can't take it. Everything will work out. You just have to. Always does. Yeah. You've got to commit to succeed. Many people think that being a realtor part-time, that you can be a realtor part-time. I'm here to tell you, it doesn't always work out. There are some people that can do it, or that's their game plan, is they just want to be part-time. However, it's really hard to take care of your clients at the highest level when you're just part-time. When you have to work all the appointments around your full-time job or your main thing, sometimes it's not fair to the client. And sometimes it's not fair to you that, in your spare time that you have to go over and run and show houses. If that's your game plan, that's fine. If you're getting into this thinking that you can work 2 jobs and it will be no big deal, somewhere you're going to have a conflict, so in some markets, I believe it's more sustainable. And then other markets that are really on fire, I guess it really just depends about your business and how you want to run it. I see this argument all the time where there's full-time people that get on part-time people's asses, but I see that most of like the paperwork deficiencies or most of the deals that have gone south or deals where we're not getting big responses back from agents, if I investigate a little more, I can sometimes tell that it's not a full-time person. The person's not treating it as a job or taking it with the same really importance that we are, right? Because this is our career. This is what we do every single day. You know, we're pretty professional. Well, I'd like to think we are. We have systems in place. You know, I mean, we like to get a deal, and when it goes under contract, we're mostly on the seller side. You know, we're mostly a listing team. We like to be systematic about everything, and when we have to wait on a part-time agent, it's really nerve-wracking. You know, but then we have to wait on full-time agents too. You know,
we've had some special.
Yeah, we've had some doozies, and that's why I'm saying,
agents.
you know, I rip on things, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but there's not a ton of skill on the buyer side. You know, it just doesn't take a lot of skill to actually represent the buyer and write the contract anymore. You know, I mean. I want to give everybody their fair, you know, whatever. And I didn't come in the business knowing it like the back of my hand. I was pretty lost. You know, but I asked the right questions, and I went and sought the right things because I didn't want to be really mediocre. I didn't want to. I knew that I was going to run past people in the future, and then if I submitted another deal with them, I wanted them to accept my deal because the deal was we were so professional with each other. You know, and everything went off without a hitch. You know, there's some agents that I've worked with, and I'm like, oh my God, I see them showing the house again, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. You know, and I'm just like. Let this be in multiple offers so I can, you know, I can sit here and present it to the seller like I should and without bias and say, hey, look, I really like the way this agent right here works. And like, look, you can see how clean their offer is and everything else. It might be a couple $1,000s under where you're at, but they're closing on time. I think they submitted with a pre-approval. We still don't know if the other client's pre-approved yet. You know, or pre-qualified or ready to go, you know? And so I know that this topic can be very offensive to people. If you take offense to that, you need to look at that. Because typically when things offend you, you resemble that remark that offended you. So take a look at that. You're not a true salesman. Okay. These might be fighting words here in a minute. From our experience, you don't hard sell real estate. Some of the agents that do, they earn the they soon earn that reputation, and then makes them irrelevant. You guys agree with that?
I think it can. I think there's some pretty successful people that hard sell a lot of things and succeed for a good bit of time, but it does push them away. People tend to shy away from people that are like that.
So they're always digging up new business instead of getting friends and family referred over to them. Yeah.
And other people in the business, like in any sales or any kind of thing, if you feel like somebody's just charging through and just doesn't actually understand how to, work a deal amicably, most people shy away from that person or any deals with that person.
Okay.
I learned to be influential by educating my clients.
I think that's a true salesman. Right? Yeah. And so I think what this person's saying is like, you're not a door-to-door salesman selling vacuum cleaners. I wholeheartedly agree with that. But being a true salesman is knowing the ins and outs of everything that you're doing to procure the client, to get the client what they want, to what they're searching for, and to close the deal all the way through. That is a true salesman. Yeah. Right? It says so on our license. I have this debate all the time with people. I'll throw it on Facebook just to get people at each other's throats. But it's just like, are you a salesperson? And everybody's like, no, I'm a realtor. And it's like, okay, cool. It's like, well, what's your license say? Because your license actually says you're a licensed salesperson. Yep. So we are salespeople. Salespeople is not that hardcore sale anymore. It's really not. It doesn't mean. I think like what are they? Used car salesmen or car salesmen in general get a bad rap. Like that's always been that thing, that identifier of a true salesman, like pushy car salesman. It's just like people show up on a car lot. Nobody drug you to a car lot.
Have you bought a car lately? Yeah, I have. Come with me. Yeah. I need you.
Nobody drug you to the car lot, and just whatever else. You're there. You're looking at it. They presented the reasons why you're there. You wanted to take a look at this Ford F-250. You walked it, you drove it, you like it. What do you think?
You want to take it home for the evening?
Yeah.
Bring it back?
It's their job to suggest, have you talked to your bank yet? Can you get qualified for this? And then walk you inside and do that. Then you sit there. They got a lot of deals going on typically. I hate sitting in a car lot, by the way. And they got a lot of deals going on. And then they systematically take you, and then they bring up like, hey, look, this is where we're at, and it's a negotiation. It's the same deal with a house.
Yeah.
I mean, you show up, you find what you like, you call us to get into the property after the search game. If they're using Zillow or ZTR to look at the stuff, and then they come in, they want to see the home, right? It's our job to ask the question: are you qualified? Can you even afford the house? Why are we looking at it? Like we know somebody very close to us that used to be very close to us that doesn't ask that question. That is absolutely insane. And they also show as many houses as it takes, is what the statement was.
Yeah.
That also is not the smartest way, I think, to what? What do you say? Marshall's over there with his face like I'm offending somebody.
No.
If they figure out who it is, then figure out who it is. Are you saying you don't even know who it is? Did you say Oprah?
What?
That's what it looks like.
Anyway, you are a salesperson. You might not be a true salesperson, the kind that your parents warned you about. It's like, oh, that's a vacuum cleaner. Don't. He's selling Encyclopedia Britannicas at the door. I respect those people.
I'm old enough to remember them coming to the door. What they got there? Books. All right.
Find a mentor you can trust. There's one thing that's been invaluable for us from the beginning is
I don't know
we
about
have good
you,
mentors.
but
like
when
Steve
I
Fuller.
started, you were my mentor and taking me on listing appointments and letting me shadow with the FSBO appointments and all that. So I really got to see how you walk, talk, behaved, responded with the clients, and I think that really helped me get a head start to where I was going versus just reading it in the book. So let's go back to the riding a bicycle. You can read about riding a bicycle all day long, but you won't really truly know until you fall down a few times.
The best thing you can do is have another agent, give you their perspective.
Yeah.
You can ask questions. And I also really, this one makes me just roll my eyes every single time. I was like, ask your broker,
I had coaches tell me that, ask your broker. Well, I'm asking you, you're my coach.
Yeah. And so, I never wanted to talk to the broker. I just never did. I never wanted their perspective on anything because their perspective is typically, textbook. Well, it's textbook. I mean, it's what they have to say to avoid any type of legalities. Living in a litigious society these days, everybody's got to watch what they say. And so I want to get other agents' perspectives. I want to know that the broker isn't in there selling $10 or $20 million a year. They're just not. Typically, maybe your broker is. If your broker's competing with you, if your broker's a $10 million agent and then you're working under them, is the broker and the leads are coming in, whatever else, I would get out of there. I wouldn't want to work with a competing broker. Don't look at me like that because we're a team. That's different. I'm a team leader.
No.
I was thinking
out loud. I was thinking about to say thinking out loud.
I was thinking out loud for you.
No. That a lot of people seem to. I see two different sides on some teams. People want to be like high producing agents and stay in the game and then be part of that and still have the notoriety and stuff. And others want to be out of it and just filter everything down and just be the broker, just be like the name and help, funnel things into the people.
Yeah.
But you also see people they're like the high producing or they're the listing agent for everything that comes in, but they're not actually listing the properties.
Right.
They're just there, which I found kind of fascinating.
That's a lot of that's ego. I'm going to go and say that now. Yeah. But I mean, there's a broker we know well that works in our area that they're the listing agent on everything, but they don't go to the appointments. I've gone against them in a listing presentation and I see that broker's folder with a different agent on there. And then if I happen to lose, which I don't, against, that typical agent a lot of times, but if I do see them in there, it's not that person's name or their second agent.
Yeah.
Or in the notes, it says to call that agent, call that second agent, but that broker lists everything under their name. And of course, then at the end of the year, when it's award time, they look like a rock star.
Yeah. Like I listed all these properties. You didn't list a single one.
Well, look at Steve, what's his name? Steve Caballero, not the skater, but Steve Caballero that works for, he lists for builders. But the guy sells like 20,000 homes a year or something like that because he lists for builders, right? And if you look at the numbers, like this guy kills it. Like that guy's never, I mean, he just owns the company.
Yeah.
Something USA. I can't remember what it is, but nice guy. I've met him.
Yeah.
Just sharp. He started a company and he listed a discounted rate to most of the builders out there.
Yeah.
He takes the listing and then he turns around and does what with it?
Gets the buyers.
The buyers. Yeah. So he gets the buyers and that's where he's making the money is because he's selling the leads off to people.
Yeah.
You know, and so I wouldn't be surprised if one of these things like Agent Pronto or Opcity, well, Opcity is Realtor.com, right?
Yeah.
So there's about 100 other little things out there, but one of them's probably his, where he funnels all those leads back to people that are calling on his listings. You know,
I mean, you can't knock it. That's a good idea.
Hell yeah, it's a good idea. Actually, let's do that.
I'm down.
All right, let's go and shut this podcast off and get started making lead generation.
We're out.
Anyway, never count commissions before they close. This is a no-brainer. Yep. This is hard to do when you first get started.
Yep.
So you're salivating over that commission. You get a $300,000 buyer. You take a $300,000 listing. You know that's a $9,000 commission.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after your splits, that's what I mean, $6,000 to you.
Yeah.
And then the day of closing, that skeleton pops out of the closet, and we can't close ever.
Yep. They went out and bought a brand new sofa, or they bought a refrigerator and opened up a Home Depot account, or they bought a car. We've had people buy a boat.
Student loans
like, what the
came
F are
out
you
of
buying
nowhere.
a boat for? What are you buying a boat for in October? You know, like,
It's discounted. It's cheap.
Yeah, the lake's not going anywhere. You know, the lake's going to be there after you close.
Oh,
you know?
man.
Maybe, you know, I mean, because you're going to buy a house, it's going to crush your credit, you know, when you're doing, but so the same, as soon as it funds, go out and buy the boat.
Yeah.
You know, we actually had that. We had a client, I won't mention her name, but nice lady.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I sold 2 for her and then sold her a house. And like the day she closed and it funded, she went straight over to Mercedes-Benz and bought her a brand new Mercedes also because her debt to income ratio barely got to the house. But then, you know, obviously when she showed up at Mercedes to trade hers in and get that one, it was like, bam, bam. She's like, I did it. And I was like, you know, that could still have an adverse effect. And like, screw you 3 days later, you know.
Oh.
But anyway, it didn't. So happy for her.
That's good.
People typically know how to cheat the system. I love it. But never count that before it closes. From inspections, anything can go wrong during the inspection, the loan process, the appraisal especially can go wrong.
How'd that happen?
To actually have a clear to close. We've had clear to closes and deals fall through. So watch that. Don't count your money. Definitely don't spend it beforehand. Don't commit to something because you think you have a check coming in. You commit to buying a car. You commit to a bigger lease. You commit to a huge purchase, you know, and it doesn't go through. You're going to put yourself in a stressful situation, and you just don't need that when you're first starting out. This business is hard enough. This business is stressful enough. You don't need added stress to it. All right. And with that being said, let's go ahead and kill number 10 here. Real estate is and can be extremely fun. It is stressful. However, if you're, you know, I've never had more fun running my business. You know, I've run businesses in the past. I guess I got to walk that back, because I was in the bar business for 15 years. So I had a lot of fun in the bar business. However, I'm enjoying this because the amount of money I make, the time I have, my vacations throughout the year are more memorable. You know, they're just...
I get to spend more time with my family. I'm not stuck in
that's where I was going with
four-wall prison of a corporate job or anything, you know? So.
Yeah, certainly. That's where I'm definitely going with that, is you just... There's so many things you can do. Showing property can actually be fun. Once you turn being a skillful realtor, you know, and you become a skillful realtor in the business, and you work with buyers, it can be a lot of fun seeing different homes, seeing how other people live. I love showing homes that are occupied. A lot of people don't like showing homes that are occupied. I like doing that because I like to see. And there's little things that you can tell too. This is aside from being fun, but you can tell when you walk in and you see a home for $400,000, you know, that everything seems to be a little bit rushed, and you go peek your head in the closet and her clothes are gone or his clothes are gone. You know, it's just kind of like, you can tell it's a breakup. So you can tell that more than likely, you know, there's a situation there.
Start reading the story.
You can work that into your advantage, you know, into your buyer's advantage. That's what you're there for, is to pick up on those details and those clues like that. To me, that can be a little bit fun. The little investigative work.
Yeah.
You know, don't open the fridge. I always warn people against that. That's not the investigative work you want. The fridges typically stink. Anyway, that was this. I like this little one today. So 10 reasons why, or things I wish I would have known, and we expanded on them as much as we can. Had a lot of fun with it. So if you didn't catch last week, we had Dustin Brome on. Dustin Brome's from the Massive Agent podcast. He's it was a fun podcast to do. He answered a lot of questions for us, and he a lot of validation there, because we both started right about the same time in our careers, and our careers have kind of been on a similar path. And so I really enjoyed having another agent's perspective that's kind of right there with me. So that's always a good one. So want to thank everybody. Don't forget to hit up Magic Mike over at Guaranteed Rate 88000. And then with that being said, please hit that 5-star button and leave a great review if you can. That's how iTunes tells you or tells other people and recommends the podcast, is by the people that are attached to you. So the more that you like it, the more that you leave a review, the more it helps us out, the more we continue to do this to help you out. If you need anything from us, I'm out.